Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Joseph Hepburn. For those who still do not know me, I'm a member of the church in Ocean Park. And today we extend a special invitation to those who are single, married, divorced, gay, transgender, cisgender, whatever gender. You are welcome at the church in Ocean Park. We extend a special invitation to those who are crying newborns, those who are just browsing, just woke up, or just recovering from a night of cooking and partying. You are welcome here at the church in Ocean Park. We extend a special invitation to those who are over 60, over 70, over 80, but have not yet grown up, and to teenagers who feel they are already too old and growing up too fast. You are welcome here at the church in Ocean Park. As Jamaicans would say, no matter if you're teeth or if you're dread or if you have no crown upon your head, you are welcome at the church in Ocean Park. Those who are confused between Iowa and New Hampshire, you have a welcome here to be refreshed and to be revived and to be stimulated. We invite those who are in recovery, those who are still addicted, and those who are struggling with these issues. We have open hearts and open doors. We invite those who are inked or pierced or both. We offer a special invitation to those who work too hard, those who don't work, those who can't work, those who don't like to be working every day at my age like myself. Then you are welcome at the church in Ocean Park. We offer a special invitation to those who could use a prayer right now, or just a hug. We invite tourists, seekers, doubters, and you. Welcome to this multi-faith congregation of people fighting for social justice. Welcome to the church in Ocean Park.
All right.
Now we have another welcome to remind you that at church in Ocean Park, we don't have any particular one person to speak for the church in its entirety. So we come together and we discuss and we learn from each other, and we are able to come together in good fellowship and good common understanding. If you want to have a new program, for example, just have two other persons or so who are with you with that program, and all the three of you can discuss it, and then you can bring it forward, and that is how many of our programs start here. So it is from the ground up, not always from the top down, and that is better most of the time. So we welcome you here today, and we also have our land acknowledgement before we continue. We recognize that as people of the church in Ocean Park, that our building here in Santa Monica, California, sits on stolen land. We, the settlers of this land, honor the Quiche, the Tongva, and Chumash peoples. We acknowledge the harms of genocide, enslavement, forced assimilation, gender violence, and the destruction of sacred sites, the burial of historic truths, and indigenous suffering at the hands of U.S. settler colonialism. We also acknowledge that our communities and country are built on the backs of people from Africa, placed into bondage and forced into labor. We acknowledge that we benefit from the labor that has never been repaid. In acknowledgement, We therefore also commit ourselves to healing, to helping to create a more just and equitable world through the struggle of changing how we do things that we see as normal and that support the systems that oppress us. We apologize for that harm and pledge ourselves to be part of the culture of repair. So we continue with the Thich Nhat Hanh. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now. We sing it 3 times. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Janet Gollery McKeithen, and I am the minister here, and I also welcome you to the church in Ocean Park. This week is Tu Bishvat, which is a Jewish holiday of the tree, and that they sometimes have a large Seder dinner. We've done that before here. A number of years ago, we had our Seder dinner, a Seder tree dinner here, and even Tree Man walked in. Have you ever seen Tree Man? How many of you have seen Tree Man? Venice, yeah. Well, he's really tall. He's like a tree, so he had to bend over to get in, but he made it. It was my surprise for everyone, and I really enjoyed that. So I'm in honor of that. I'm going to read something from Rabbi Deborah Orenstein. She writes, "When I was about 6, my family moved into a house with 2 apple trees in the backyard. When the fruit became ripe, we had a bumper crop. We baked apple pies and made applesauce, and we still had lots of apples to share with friends. During one apple delivery, a neighbor explained to me that the family who used to live in our house had planted those 2 apple trees because each tree helps the other one to grow. With the help of insects and birds who transport material from tree to tree, the apple trees enriched one another. The story had an impression on me. I understood that the woman wasn't just telling me a story about plants and trunks. She was thanking me, supporting my sense of community, and conveying what it takes for apples or humans to bear fruit. Sharing apples feels so good to both the giver and the receiver because that way of connecting is in perfect harmony with the process of how apples came into being in the first place. They didn't grow alone. They grew with the help of sun and rain and birds and insects and apple trees with vital differences and crucial similarities to their own. They grew in a world designed by God to give us fecundity and abundance, and we fully engage and support the interconnected oneness of everything and everyone in God's world." That's from Rabbi Deborah Orenstein. It's so wonderful to be here this morning. It's wonderful to be in this room with all of you and online with all of you. I feel good just being here. Welcome, and I'm really happy to be with you all, but I have so much I'm carrying this morning. I have personal stuff. I have, some people in the hospital. There's people at home sick, when we carry all of that. And then there's things happening in the world that if you are a compassionate person, you may be having a bit of a problem and a hard time right now. So we come here this morning with a lot on our minds, a lot in our bodies, and a lot in our souls. On the one hand, we're happy to be together, so glad to be with people who understand. People who understand what it is to work for a more just and equitable world when it looks like things are just getting worse and worse and worse. When so many people are suffering and dying, and much of it paid for by our own tax dollars. There's joy in me and together, and there's also grieving. We're tired, we're angry, and we're sad. We cry with the psalmist in Psalm 13, "How long, O Lord, how long will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How must I wrestle with my thoughts and day after day have sorrow in my heart? How long? How long?" Let's take all this in prayer and reflection. Creator, sustainer, this morning we lift up all those who have fallen victim to hatred and inhumanity, for those loved ones who are left behind to mourn, for the souls of those who cry out, those whose hearts are cold. We cry out. You can repeat after me if you like. We cry out. We cry out. For the children who are being born into a world of conflict and violence, for mothers and fathers unable to care for their children or their parents, we cry out.
We cry out.
For the soldiers who are misguided into thinking that their bullets will bring about peace, for those who feel called to conscientiously object to military orders, we cry out.
We cry out.
For the children who cry in their beds, hungry at night, wondering, what have I done? We cry out.
We cry out.
For all the children who have died before their time, for soldiers who allow their uniform to strip them of their humanity, for healers who are denied the opportunity to use their gifts, we cry out. For hearts and bodies of both victim and perpetrator, we cry out. But we also give thanks. For those who continue to fight for justice, we give thanks. For those whose hearts are still filled with compassion, we give thanks. For the courageous protesters in Israel, we give thanks. For all those who protest oppressive governments, we give thanks. For those who march, those who write letters, those who make phone calls, those who make visits, we give thanks. For those who take risks to tell the truth, we give thanks. We give thanks for all the peacemakers, amen and ashe. Can we truly have peace? Can we truly have peace? Peace is about a lot more than the absence of war. Peace is about how we treat each other, how we leave openings for new perspectives, how we make sure traditionally unheard voices are heard, etc., etc. Peace is about continually assessing when it's good to step up and when it's good to step back and let others step up. It's about being open to personal change. So that's difficult. We like other people to change, but it's really hard for us to change. Peacemakers understand that we'll make mistakes and that we don't know everything. But being a peacemaker is also about being bold and courageous when you know you are right and something is wrong. It's about working with people from many backgrounds, faiths, abilities, cultures, identities, genders, etc., to help create a beloved community together. It's about strategizing, training, and organizing. It's about continually uncovering facts for ourselves and then sharing these facts with other people, even when they're uncomfortable. For example, it's pretty uncomfortable that the United States was created by slaughtering masses of people and enslaving others. Most of us were told a different story growing up about how this country began. But working for peace is about being a truth teller. That society is set up to keep white, hetero, cisgender, Christian, able-bodied men in power. That when something challenges that system, it is shut down. At least that's how it's set up. That's why so much pressure is needed to make any positive change, because the system is set up not to change. The system has layers and layers of protection and a lot of inertia to hold it in place. So to create change takes dedication, perseverance, courage, and creativity. It means taking care of each other in the process and taking care of ourselves, because it's a slow and arduous process that takes a very long, long time, and sometimes appears to be going backwards. And religion plays a huge role in all of this. The doctrine of discovery and its relatives help keep this hierarchical oppressive system in place. It makes taking people's land, raping them, and killing them all okay. The churches were instrumental in strengthening the oppression of peoples in this country and beyond. An additional but related problem is the lie that the United States is the best in the world. Our imperialism and our theological undergirding help us to justify moving people around or wiping them out, many times done through supplying money or weapons to dictators across the world. If we're ever going to have a peaceful world, we need to deal with the religious and the faithful aspect. Christianity supported and strengthened slavery. Now, I know there were Christians that were very courageous and they were walking on the lines and marching, but in general, the large Christian churches, especially in the South, supported and strengthened slavery. And every time there was even a small advance in civil rights, the church would ramp up the racist behavior. They created a theology that supported even the lynchings. So whole congregations would make an excursion out of it, and after church, they'd bring their children all dressed up and go to a lynching right after church. Right now, anti-Semitism and Islamophobia are both on the rise. Relationships across faith traditions are important. And I'm not really talking about interfaith dialogue here. Interfaith dialogue is important, but that's not what I'm talking about. And I'm not talking about those groups of faith leaders that get together and work on things like making wages more acceptable and those kinds of things. Those are important as well, but that's not what I'm talking about. Not interfaith dialogue, but actual faith communities that are trying to create a better world together, like the church in Ocean Park. Congregations that are multi-faith and no faith. People of various faiths and no faith and mixed faith who actually know each other, celebrate milestones together, are there when babies are born and when people die, and they sing each other's songs, pray each other's prayers, actually knowing each other and each other's families and stories. Because only when we see and experience each other as real family do we have the depth of compassion that we need to understand the deep, visceral reactions of the pain of one another. Interfaith dialogue is important, but living together in a congregation and working together for a more beloved community creates the kind of bond that is not severed even during important disagreements over what should be done next in the Middle East or elsewhere, and what we should call that. We in the United States have blood in our hands, all over the world. Oh, not literally, we don't like to really get messy. We like to send the money and have other people do it. We funded Duterte's war on drugs, which was really like a war on the poor and any who are helping them in the Philippines. We had a similar war on drugs here in the United States. We have historically funded the least ethical leaders in the world. Right now, it's our tax dollars that are funding the murders of over 25,000 people in Gaza. It's our tax dollars that pay for the displacement and injuring of hundreds of thousands more. It is our tax dollars that fund our own military across the globe to destroy families, cultures, and communities. The current war is one of the more egregious examples, but this is what we do. It's not going to stop on its own. We have to demand a ceasefire. We have to demand that our government stop funding this war. There are various roles. There's marching, writing letters, making phone calls, meeting with our representatives, writing letters to the editor, and doing all of this multiple times. The leaders of the church in Ocean Park held a retreat and discussed the war in the Middle East and how the church in Ocean Park would respond. We created some task forces. One is working on a statement. Another is researching the most effective way to take action to end our funding of this war. The church in Ocean Park leadership is diverse. We don't always agree on specific words or actions. That's part of who we are, and it's a good thing. There are many places we can all go to hear exactly what we want and hear and pretty much all lockstep with each other and be comfortable there. We know what everybody's going to say, what everybody's going to think, and what we're going to do. We can go where people are pretty much just like us and be very comfortable. At the church in Ocean Park, we try to be comfortable being uncomfortable. but we know that we are a community together and we hold each other up. We care about each other deeply and we learn to trust each other. And so when someone disagrees with us, we want to know more. We don't shut them out. We don't try to convince them of their ignorance. We are honestly curious and we want to understand. Because we respect each other and we know that we don't know all there is to know. We listen harder and we hold space for the unknown. Our understanding of what is happening in the world expands, and we cannot be more compassionate. We can not only be more compassionate, but also be more effective in creating change. When we truly hold others in our community in love, we can actually hear the nuances of what's being said and expand our own awareness. Our community has actually made stronger and more effective by this kind of disagreement, rather than a community that always agrees. That's why we have a responsibility. As a respected multi-faith community, we have the opportunity and the responsibility to convey a broader narrative. There are all kinds of groups out there that are doing important work in creating mass pressure we need in order to make a difference at all. We need them, but they also need our unique thing. And our unique thing is that, number one, we bring faith into the mix. We understand that religion has played a devastating role and that religion can also play an important role. Number two, we don't demonize people who disagree with us. As our understanding grows, we know that is true of others as well. Since we are multi-faith, number three, we have a deep understanding and we work from a broader narrative that needs to be shared. I believe that part of our role right now is to expand the table. Many people are devastated at what's happening and want it to stop, but don't know what to do. We are a place and a community that can bring people together, provide resources and training for action. The church in Ocean Park has been a place of hope for many, and it's time right now for us to step up again. As our task group discovers the most effective ways for us to make political contacts that we need to make, we need to provide that information to our community. I don't think there are many people who want the killings to continue. There is a lot of sadness as well as misunderstandings between people. We can provide a space here where people can grieve, people can hear each other, and people can make a difference. I think all three of these are interconnected. Being actively involved in making change can be a part of grieving and about understanding. I'm not talking about endless forums. I'm not talking about having a debate. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about dialogue that leads to action. We are the place that can do this, and so I believe we have the responsibility to do it. We are far from the beloved community and that we are trying to create, but that doesn't mean we stop fighting for it. It is written in Pirkei Avot, a compilation of ethical teachings and maxims from rabbinic Jewish tradition, which says, "You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to desist from it." But we are not alone. As the apple story told us, the family planted 2 apple trees because each tree helps the other one to grow. With the help of insects and birds who transport material from tree to tree, the apple's trees enriched each other. They didn't grow alone. They grew with the help of the sun and the insects and the birds and other apple trees, with vital differences and crucial similarities to themselves. They grew in a world that was designed to give us abundance when we fully engage and support our interconnectedness. With the help of insects and birds and trees, they supported one another. We need a reckoning, people. We need a reckoning of values. It is not okay to believe that the United States is superior to every other country. It is not okay to believe that white people are better than any other people. It is not okay to believe that heterosexuality is better than cisgender. It is not okay to believe that young are better or old are better or English is better or that people who are housed are better. It's not okay to believe that people who have a clear record are better than people who don't. It's not okay to believe that Christianity is better. It's not okay to believe that any religion is better. People are being killed, and it starts with our values. Our values are so important, and our values at Church in Ocean Park are so important. Open the doors. We need to open the doors and provide resources to make change happen. Let's do this.
Shalom, no. Peace, salam, shalom. Can you say that? Peace, salam, shalom. Let's sing it. Peace, salam, shalom. 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 We're just going to sing it a few times here. Peace, salam, shalom. 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 So this was written by Pat Humphreys of Emma's Revolution. She's a wonderful songwriter. Peace, salam, shalom. 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 Peace, salam, shalom.
Now we have an opportunity, whether this is your first time here or you've been here many times, it's your opportunity to share something or ask a question. If you'd like to make a comment or ask a question.
I have a
Taking into consideration what this church is, multi-faith, we can look to the faiths that are embraced here. And throughout its history, there's been stern opposition. With Muslims, which is what I am, the Crusades come to mind. Prior to that, Christianity was pushed against by many of the Romans. They fed Christians to the lions. In reference to Judaism, the first, second, and third Reichs were clearly anti-Semitic. So I say to you, we are in a very, very unique position, to embrace many of the faiths, that populate this nation. Having said that, in my involvement with the church here, whenever we've taken a strong stance, we've been met with opposition. Not necessarily religious, but indeed opposition. And I say, once we roll into this campaign, it's not going to be that much different. I'm wondering if indeed it's appropriate to more or less recognize that and then form some sort of I don't know if you would call it a commission or a panel to address. And I know you said that, you know, it's not open for debate, but it could be a thing in which we could be asked, you know, to address that. And if indeed that's the case, you know, if it's appropriate to set aside a group to study that, if necessary.
Right, yeah, I'm not against us explaining ourselves, that's for sure. And I do want to let people know another decision that was made by the leadership retreat, at the leadership retreat, was that we are going to start having fellowship with, just fellowship with other religious communities. And so we've already contacted 3 of them, and they're going to get back to us. So we'll start having time when we can just come here and fellowship with our, so that we build a strong base, so that we build some relationships, you know. So that's what that is all about. Is there anybody else?
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Yes. All right. This is in memoriam for the man that I was with for 5 years. His name was Curtis Simon, and he died December 15th of this past year. He died of lung cancer. He had had it about 10 years ago, and they thought they got it all, but the trouble with cancer, wherever it might be, if they miss one little piece, 5 years later, 10 years later, it can metastasize, and it did to his other lung, and he died. And he was a good man. He went to my synagogue, I went to his, and I cared about him deeply, and I know he's watching over me. And that was my Curtis. Thank you.
Let's take a moment and can we do?
I behold you, beautiful one. I behold you, child of the earth and sun. Let my love watch over you. Let my love wash over you.
We love you, Ethel.
In fact, I think Ethel's comments were appropriate to what we're talking about, because what we're talking about is a cancer that continues to spread, and we think we've taken care of it, but then we go back into remission, and we're stepping backwards. So I think, and so that's sort of what I want to talk about, the personal versus the global. I mean, I think Carl Jung said, we feel empty because the greatest of experience is God, and evil, the lowest of experiences, are outside of us. And so when we talk about action, why are we taking action, right? Is it because we're avoiding things within ourselves? You know, are we doing the work we need to do inside ourselves in order to act in a way that's appropriate? Because I think sometimes when we're acting in social justice, at least in my case, sometimes we're just angry with something else. And so it's like, how do you live in a world where you're dealing with homelessness, the Gaza war, other atrocities, children dying because they don't have clean water? And it's like, how, and so I haven't figured this out at all. So I'm more on the trying to figure it out. How do you like lay it all out and not get burned out? You know, and why do we act? And so, you know, I think so much about what Chris and Maureen talk about, and trying to find that inner peace before you act. And like, how do you lay it all out? And again, I grew up, my father was a military officer. He went to war many, many times. And so like, how, living in that world where we did believe in the military-industrial complex. My brother worked for a small company called Lockheed Martin Marietta, right? Which, and so it's like, I just don't know, you know, what, and I don't want to be in action, right? And like, because how do you think, what is it, think globally, act locally? But this is act globally. And so I'm just sort of trying to sort through these things. And I don't know if I'm, even in my sorting, I'm sorting this way as a way not to act, right? I'm happy to speak out against what's going on in the Middle East. So that's sort of where I'm at. I'm just sort of like in this mode of, yeah, why do I think my thoughts? And so that they're the right thoughts at the right time. So Anyway, so I have a lot to say about nothing.
No, that was a lot. That was good, Joe. I think that you, one of the things I love about this church is that there's always other aspects that are brought in, and I think that. I have my own mic. I was born with a mic, apparently. Yeah, I think that it is good to we need to always be mindful of ourselves and our what's happening internally. And I think part of that comes back to taking care of ourselves. And I was trying to talk about taking care of yourself and also taking care of each other. But before you act, even to be centered and be clear in your spirit, which is very difficult to do in this situation.
I'm hoping that with the elections coming up, people will open up to the possibility of other considerations besides the two established, old-school, warmongering political parties. It's time for change. Open up to the new. Oh, well, they'll never win the election. Well, of course they won't win if you don't vote for them, okay? Give newness a chance.
Well, Janet, I just wanted to thank you this morning for these words. I work for a nonprofit where the founder, one of the founders, Patrice Cullors, calls upon us in her latest book to have conversations of courage to address those very difficult topics that we sort of shy away from. And this morning, that's exactly what you gave us, was a very courageous conversation. And I just want to thank you for doing that. And I just want to sort of drop this. A couple of weeks ago, I was here talking about healing in the work that I do. And throughout, this is a massively difficult time for some of us. I have a girlfriend who told me the other day that she cries every day because of the lives that are being taken. And I'm an empath too, so what I find to heal myself and to keep myself centered is humor, is finding some of the most ridiculous things. I was, told Bob about a poem last night that we're not going to talk about here, or a joke last night that we're not going to discuss here in church today, but it's a way of making sure that we keep our spirits lifted. So as we go through this very difficult time, and just know that I'm on the phone cussing people out about their actions or lack of actions, and I know that in order to keep that spirit going, that I've got to take care of myself and make sure that I'm doing things that bring me happiness.
That's right. I think you went.
I thank you too, Janet, for speaking so eloquently and powerfully. I want to say something to raise a question. In other conversations, I might give my answer to the question, but right now I just want to raise the question for people to think about. I'm very happy that we begin each service, or very early in the service, we have our land acknowledgement and our acknowledgement of the history of slavery in our country that is still unrepaired. Now, in both of those cases, we are taking a side. That is, I think the church is saying, on the whole, the Europeans who settled this country were in the wrong in their relations with Native Americans. It doesn't mean that everything a Native American does to resist it is necessarily right, but on the whole, we're on the side of the Native Americans. likewise for slavery. I think our statement is that on the whole, we are on the side of those who were enslaved and those who are still oppressed by racism. So the question I raised is with Israel and Palestine, whether we will need at some point to say that we, on the whole, are on one side or the other. Because there are issues of settler colonialism that are somewhat analogous to the issues over here. And as you said, the US is complicit in a lot, and the British were too, just as they were colonizing where we are. They still have been about colonizing, you know, and that's part of the Mideast situation. So I'm just gonna leave that question in the air.
Well, yep, thank you.
Ooh, I'm shaking. First time here, first time speaking. So, you know, they say each story, there's three sides. There's this side, that side, and the truth. And on the subject of homelessness in the news media, 2 or 3 times a year, CNN, KTLA, Channel 5, they come at night or before the sun comes up, and they film our row of RVs and for a piece on homelessness. And they never interview anyone, and they'll sometimes give a platform for Tracy Park to speak and say whatever she wants. And we're fine. It's always false reporting. It's always political theater. And even if something were to come of it, we're okay. But it's just sad, you know, that things are just backwards like that, you know?
Oh, does anybody online want to speak?
Yes, if you can hear me. Dr. Kim. What's always interesting to me as I keep pondering about the situation in Israel and in Gaza is that I keep thinking about the history 1739 and 1831 when my ancestors rose up against slavery, and with the Stono Rebellion, 1739, it was bloody, and the enslaved people killed men, women, and children, going from house to house. And then again in 1831, the Nat Turner Rebellion, bloody, going from house to house, killing everyone in the house as they were fighting for freedom. And the retaliation and what happened to so many African Americans after that, when those rebellions were put down, not only the laws that changed, but how many people were hung and just jailed, and it was just incredible. And so much of that just feels like what is going on now, you know, on a different scale, of course, because the weapons were different and everything. But what can we do? You know, I'm thinking, you know, I'm wondering, and I'm thinking about also what Bob had to say. You know, what do we do? There are times when people rise up and commit what are atrocities as they're fighting for their freedom. And it's in my ancestors' history, it's in so many people's history. So that's the question that keeps gnawing at my heart again and again and again right now.
Yes, I have been thinking about what's happening in Gaza and Israel, and I thought about how back in the olden days they would have when two kingdoms wanted to ensure peace, they would have the prince of one kingdom and the princess of another kingdom marry. So they would use the marriage ritual to ensure that both nations had some sort of reconciliation. And it appeared to me that when England or British and Americans helped the Israel become uh, part of Palestine, there was no reconciliation. So consequently, there was no two-state solution. You've had this metastasizing of Israel throughout Palestine. There's no stopping it. A friend of mine told me that um, she went to a private school, Brentwood, and they would encourage the parents and children to come to Israel to visit, all expense paid trip. And some of the kids figured out what it was it was trying to encourage them to move to Israel and to take part of their land. Thank you.
The media is part of the problem around the world. I mean, in Russia, in Israel. In Israel, they never see Palestinian people on the news. Never. Not one person. All they see is the army and what they have done, and the holes that are leading down to, it's all skewed all over the world, and the United States too. So I don't know how you solve that problem, but.
Right, that was part of what Froggy was talking about, media. Same way in the Philippines, they did that same thing. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. I just wanted to mention an example I heard recently of really profound nonviolent direct action, and maybe Chris, maybe you know more about it, but that after the terrorist attack in Mumbai, the government could have really retaliated heavily the way Netanyahu has, but that instead they elected to do very little. And as a result, the terrorists who perpetrated that attack were very much, they lost a lot of support. And I mean, that just seems to me to be just an incredible example. I don't know enough about it to say anything else, but that what an incredible, if it is true, what an incredible example of de-escalation, and what a different, what it made me think about how the US really only operates in terms of retaliation, which is really escalation. It's not retaliation, it's really just escalation. And I don't see that it's really leading anywhere.
All right, thanks. I think you would.
So often the abused becomes the abuser, whether it's within your own personal life, generational trauma, or internationally. And that seems to be the theme that's uncovered here. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to just appreciate what was said. It's right, it's wrong, and there's a reality in the middle. Appreciate what we do, what Kim is doing in grappling with our place in history, what little pieces of knowledge we have, and to really lift up a need to move out of the retaliation mindset. And Israel seems to be turning the corner with protests abundant now, saying that we can't kill everyone that's part of this group. And with that news, I think there's just a little bit of ray of hope.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, speaking about revenge and retaliation, I'm remembering right after those the attacks on the Israeli people. What was that? October 6th.
October 7th.
October 7th. I remember Joseph brought up the idea: what if the Israeli government had spent all their efforts comforting their people and helping the victims and comforting their people? It's like, can we even imagine that revenge or retaliation is not part of the response? It's like, there's something in us that, oh my God, you have to retaliate. Well, what if he didn't? You know, so I think it's a great question.
Yes. Right. All right. There's a lot of things to think about, and we're continuing this discussion. We're continuing the dialogue because there's so many nuances for. And I just want to add, there's a difference between revenge and then fighting because you've been oppressed so long. There's only certain things that you don't have any other things you can do. You've tried everything else, and so there are different things that are going on or could be going on. So let's take a moment and take a deep breath first, and then we're going to have a moment of silence, and then Kim will be coming on to get us back to our group.
Now I've been happy lately, thinking about good things to come, and I believe it could be something good has begun.
Oh, I've been smiling lately, dreaming about the world as one, and I believe it could be someday it's gonna come.
'Cause I'm on the edge of darkness, there rides the peace train. Oh, peace train, take this country, come take me home again.
Now I've been smiling lately, thinking about the good things to come, and I believe it could be something good has begun. Peace train sounding louder, slide on the peace train. Jump upon a peace train.
Rendin chomkima arkidam banda seila de mangaron unade kadi fadima joni etoma dola ar abodam dam dam dunam dam wadadima unade fadima joni joni unchakongo
Peace train sounding loud, glide on the peace train.
Oh, I've been crying lately, thinking about the world as it is. Why must we go on hating? Why can't we live in bliss? Peace train sounding loud, glide on the peace train. Ooh, come on, peace train. Peace train, holy road. Everyone jump upon the peace train. Ooh, come on, come on, come on.
Come on and ride on the peace train.
Come on, come on, come on. Let's come on, peace train.
Come on, come on, come on. Peace train.
Come on, join me. I'm jumping on the peace train.
Come on, peace train.
Peace train.
Now it's time for Fred. Here, Fred. Is that open?
As everyone's going through struggles in the world and personal struggles, the church is going through its own struggles, so every little penny helps, whether it's 5 cents or $5. It helps us with a struggling budget, and we really appreciate it. Think of it as you're putting money towards that ticket to ride the peace train.
And if you're online, I think Dr. Kim can put in our CIOP4justice.org.
Peace, I ask of thee, O river. Peace, peace, peace. When I learn to live serenely, cares will cease. From the hills I gather courage, visions of the day to be. Strength to lead and faith to follow, all are given unto me. Peace I ask of thee, O river. Peace, peace, peace. When I learn to live serenely, cares will cease.
Okay, so we have, the way that programs happen in this church, as many of you know, is that if somebody says, I'd like to do such and such. They could be from in the church, or they could be from outside the church. And if they have a passion for something, or they have a program they'd like to put on, then all they need to do is have a team. So we have 2 people here, or 2 groups here today that are going to come to you and say, I would like to have this kind of a program. And what they're looking for is a couple people from the community to work with them. What the team does is it makes it happen. We do have a program committee, but they don't put on programs. They are the ones who make sure that the program goes with our values and that there is a date that's available on the calendar. But the team actually does the setup, they do the publicity, they write a little blurb that it gets in the weekly email. That doesn't happen automatically. All of it is done by the team. You can recruit more people for the team. You can advertise it. Once you get the approval from the program committee that it goes with our values, you can put it on social media. You can all do all kinds of stuff. So we have 2 different groups, and I'm going to ask you guys to come forward and please introduce. Well, do you want to do first, or you want to do second? Okay, go ahead. All right, come on up. So these, you could introduce yourself. Okay. You do a better job than but we do know, we have some history with these people. You tell me if with the Conservancy and all that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Catherine Azimi, and I am the communications manager for the Santa Monica Conservancy. And like Janet said, we have a long history with the church in Ocean Park. I'm here with my colleague Adina Bernheimer today because so the Santa Monica Conservancy, if you're not familiar, we operate out of the Shotgun House just a few blocks that way next to the library. And we have an affinity group called Preservation Next, which was actually founded by a board member, Catherine Conkle. And she wanted to create a space for the next generation of preservationists. So the Preservation Next affinity group designs experiences and creates space for emerging and mid-career professionals, not necessarily in the field of historic preservation, because it's a real interdisciplinary field, but really anybody who has an interest in buildings and history, arts, culture, heritage, the built environment. There's so many connections that can be made. And in thinking about our Preservation Next program for 2024, Catherine had the idea of creating a sound bath in a historic place. And so we've connected with Adina, who's been involved in the Conservancy, and I'll let you talk about that. And so what we wanted to propose in short would be a sound bath here at the church in Ocean Park. A sound bath. And I'll let you talk a little bit about that, if that's okay. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kat. This was such a beautiful service. So happy to be here.
My name is Adina, and just to keep it brief, I am a native Santa Monica girl, and I was raised here, and my mom still lives here, and my son goes to school here, so I feel really connected to the city, and particularly the church in Ocean Park, for other reasons. But I am a yoga instructor, meditation, I do sound healing. I also teach mindful art. I teach people from 4 years old onward. And I fully 100% believe in the benefits of these modalities. I think that just to kind of add on to the sermon, I believe that these types of modalities can create peace and relaxation inside of yourself and therefore can spread throughout the community and worldwide. I would love to be able to provide a sound bath, which is really, there's crystal bowls that you set up. This is, can also be used, but it creates different vibrational sounds with different notes. And there's a history of sound healing and numerous infinite benefits from allowing your body to be relaxed and calm your nervous system from different vibrational sounds. And that's basically what it is in short. So I would love to provide that experience, especially connected to the Santa Monica, with the Conservancy.
Great. I didn't tell you, but Adina also had a lot to do with one of the fundraising aspects of what the Conservancy did for us was put on a big program, which was an hour-long program, and it was really amazing, and she had a part in that. And she knows the Kahn family as well. So, yes, you have a question?
I do. Are you proposing, the church's involvement to be on a permanent or a temporary basis? And if it's temporary, for how long would you suggest would be an adequate, amount of time? If it's permanent, that answers that question.
Yeah, can you repeat the question for the people?
Oh, the people online need to hear the question. He's asking if the longevity of it and possibly, is it monthly or weekly or what?
Yeah, that's a good question. So what we're seeing it as of now as a one singular event, because we've never done anything like this before, but there's potential to see where it goes, either through the Conservancy relationship or the relationship with Adina. So a one-time thing for now, and we're targeting maybe March, first quarter of 2024.
And just so all of you know, we've had sound bath in here before. This wouldn't be our first time. Yeah.
Real quickly, so.
Wait, hold on. Sorry.
Are you inviting the larger community of, is this something you would be publicizing and hoping to draw people from the Santa Monica community too, or is this just for our congregation?
This would be advertised to the whole community. Yeah, and I think, Catherine's not here, so I'm going on the fly a little bit, but Preservation Next is, an affinity group for emerging mid-career preservationists, because there's a need to create that space, but we have done programs where we produce an event and then it's open to the full community. So I feel like that would be a better fit for what we're proposing here, to not make it exclusive to a certain age range. And what the Conservancy can bring is our platform. So we have social media, we have an e-blast platform. So we would use those to help advertise the event. But we were really, you mentioned that we could do it as a partnership, and that's really what we're interested in, is working with both, all sets of interests to create something that everybody can be excited about.
So what we normally do is we ask if there are a couple people who would partner and help this to happen. That doesn't mean that you go to all the sound baths. It means you might have that opportunity, but you're not committing to do that. But what you're committing to do is make sure that it puts on the logistics of it. And you help the church to put it on our calendar so we don't schedule anything else at the time. So are there a couple of people here or online who would like to help them make this happen?
I know that we have one person online. Susan, are you able to unmute and indicate your interest?
Who is that?
Susan. Susan's on an iPhone, and she's
Yes,
okay. Go
I'm
ahead.
interested.
I've heard from KPFK some of the benefits of sound therapy, and I had signed up for it, and I had never really. So this is an opportunity to more or less make good, because I was feeling really bitter about the experience and that it was communicated so positively on the air, but yet still it was not available. So I'm very interested in hearing specifically what the benefits are, and I feel I can get that by participating in this.
Great.
Yes,
So far
absolutely.
so far we have Susan and Craig. Yeah, Trudy? Trudy?
Yes, I like to help too because, hope I'll have the time, but I like to help because I see that in hospital where I work as a chaplain, song plays a very important part. Even the sound of an organ, the sound of a hymn, not just the words, but the song.
Yes.
And that really calms people and gives them a sense of comfort and reassurance, just the song.
Well,
And since it's also in the month of March, we're talking about the dawn of spring. And, you know, the ancients always figured spring as the new year.
Yeah, it's a good time.
I mean, you know, it's
Good time to start, yeah.
if nothing else.
Great timing. Yeah, well,
We have Jewish people who come in to blow the shofar and all of that. So a guitarist is
That sounds
could be done.
well, I believe we have a team. Let's give them a thank you. Thank you. So what we'll do is email all you on one stream, so you'll get each other's email. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Very excited.
We are too. Obviously, it looks like it. Okay, with our next one is Lee Beck. We already know Lee. Come on up with your friend. You want to come up or you want to stay back? Okay. Come on up. You can come up. Oh, here you go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lee Beck, and and this is my friend Paul Andrade, he's with me. I am the artistic director of Public Works Improvisational Theater. And in about 1974, Jim Kahn took over this church, and he contacted Marlene Rasnick and Dale Unson Morris and invited them to make this their home for a theater company, this church. And they did, and this is where Public Works, my theater company, was actually started by Marlene and Dale Unson, and I can't tell you how many shows we've done in this space, how many acting workshops and improv workshops and shows we've done through the years, many shows, and it's been a wonderful thing. But it's been a while since we've really done a lot here, but recently Janet suggested that maybe I could help us have events, theatrical events. I specialize in plays, storytelling, poetry, and music, and I know a lot of people, and I could design or help you design a program where you could have poetry readings, plays going on, and stuff like that. Now that you have some decent equipment for that sort of thing, it would be a good idea. We could also charge admission and maybe raise a few bucks for the church, and certainly raise the awareness in the community, you know, since we're, in a way, we're starting again here. And so for me, it would be coming full circle to be at least part of this or to do something like that. So if you're interested in that, I think I have one volunteer who's already...
Yeah, Jean online.
Okay.
Jean is on your team, right, Jean?
Yes, Jean volunteered.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jean. And we don't need a lot of people necessarily, maybe another person who might like to participate or a couple. All right.
Wendy.
Okay, Wendy, thank you. And what basically we would be doing is I can kind of design the shows, or if you have a show that you think would be something that might be presented here, you could bring it to us and we could evaluate it. And you know, I'm in the business, so I kind of know what could work and what couldn't work. And not that I expect to take it all over or anything, because I'll be consulting with my team members and everything. But I guess I don't have any
Yeah.
more to say about it.
So many of you, some of you have seen his plays. If you haven't, well, you will get a chance now if you get to do this, and Lee has done this all over the place. Like he put together many, many shows. I mean, I probably can't even add them up.
Yeah, and it wouldn't just be my theater company
Yeah.
either. I
He's
work in
put together
coalition
many.
with a lot of different artists, and would like to bring them in, all different communities across Los Angeles. You know, I have a lot of contact with all the communities, and so I could bring us a nice, diverse program that would, I think, enhance what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and so just so you know, at the leadership retreat, we did decide we need more things like this. Anyway, and Wendy knows a lot of folks as well, but is there anybody else who'd like to be on the team to help make this happen? Fred?
Fred, yeah. Be happy to have Fred
Judy?
help out.
Judy Abdo, did you say yes?
No, I can't. I don't have the capacity at this moment to take on a new thing, but I just want to say how happy I am to hear Lee wanting to come back to the church. It's really important, and anything I can do to help make that happen, I would like to do.
Thank you, Judy.
Judy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I painted Judy's house when I first got here.
What's that? What?
I think you already said get me as a committee. Did you not say that?
What? I didn't understand.
See what?
I thought you said in the beginning that you already had one partner.
Oh, yeah, Jean Gasca.
Yeah, Jean Gasca.
Okay.
Yeah, so, well, Fred,
Fred's going to help.
and then Wendy, we already have,
Wendy.
so we got enough, yeah.
Yeah, and if you, if you want to give me some input, I'm open, I'm very happy to hear from you.
I can,
Any suggestions?
and that I'm already committed, I can.
Yeah, well, of course, we want to work,
here.
we want to all work together on it, and
Okay, so
of course,
that's
we
a
can't
good
do anything unless you all support it, so.
Okay, so it's Fred, Craig, Wendy, and Jean, and you two. Yeah, Jean.
Jean, you have the floor.
I love this idea, that on Tuesday at 2, we have the arts going on there too. So I love this idea. It's going to really help us to have fun and be in community together in a relaxed way, in a fun way. Bring those other faith communities, invite them to these events. And I would also love to bring the children in to have talent shows every once in a while. So our kids with disabilities, our girls club, I think it has enormous possibilities.
Yes, it does.
Great, thank you.
And a lot of times with some of these kind of events, you can have dinners, you can have food and a really good time. We can have parties. Yay, parties!
Hey, great, thank you so much. So
all right, well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. All right, and now we have bread, I believe. Do we have bread? Okay. Okay, we're skipping bread today. And so we go on to closing circle. Please join me in a closing circle.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can. One more time. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can.
All right, now it's time for joys and concerns, or carry on together.